"You're just an embarrassment." My brother laughed, not even lowering his voice. The restaurant table went quiet for a second, then resumed like nothing had been said. My mom didn't defend me. She didn't need to. She leaned back in her chair and looked at me with soft, practiced disappointment. "No one would even notice if you didn't show up," she added as if she were doing me a favor. "Hi everyone. My name is Lillian." I felt the familiar tightening in my chest, the reflex to joke, to shrink, to make myself smaller so everyone else could stay comfortable. They had uninvited me from holidays before, from birthdays, from my cousin's engagement party last year, always framed as logistics, space, budget. This time it was just honesty, embarrassment. I smiled, not because it didn't hurt, but because something inside me had finally stopped arguing for a seat at a table that never wanted me there. "I understand," I said calmly. They expected tears. They expected a scene. Instead, I paid my portion of the bill and walked out alone. 3 months later, I received the promotion email I'd been working toward for years, and I booked the venue that same night. The promotion wasn't small. Regional director corner office salary that made my brother's jokes about barely surviving sound outdated overnight. I didn't tell them. I signed the contract, shook hands with my CEO, and went home to my quiet apartment where no one rolled their eyes at my ambition. That night, I opened my laptop and searched for venues, not for outing, for a celebration. If they thought I was an embarrassment, I would celebrate in rooms they could never casually dismiss. I booked the glass roof venue overlooking the river downtown, the one that had hosted galas I used to watch from outside as a college student. The deposit was non-refundable. I paid it in full. Then I designed the invitations. Cream cardstock, gold lettering, Lillian Hayes promotion celebration. The guest list took longer. Colleagues, mentors, friends who showed up without conditions. I scrolled through my contacts until I reached family. My thumb hovered for a second, not because I doubted myself, because I understood the weight of exclusion. Then I selected none. The invitations were mailed the next morning. 2 weeks later, my cousin posted a photo online. My invitation was in her hand. My mother was in the background reading it. The first text came from my brother. "Is this a joke?" "No." "Congratulations." No curiosity, just accusation. I stared at the message while standing in my office, sunlight reflecting off the framed promotion letter on my wall. My phone buzzed again. "Mom, how could you do this to us?" I typed nothing. Another message followed. "Family events are meant for family." I leaned back in my chair, letting the irony settle. I called my cousin instead. "She's furious," my cousin whispered. "She thought it was a mistake." "It wasn't," I replied calmly. "She says you're humiliating her." "Humiliating?" The same word Dad once used when I stopped paying his bills. "I wasn't invited to Christmas," I reminded her gently, "or my brother's birthday dinner, or the engagement party." "That's different," she said weakly. I almost smiled. Exactly. That evening, more texts arrived. Screenshots of my invitation passed around group chats I'd quietly left months ago. "You're being petty," my brother wrote. "No one even cares about your job," my mother added. I set my phone face down on the desk. The RSVP list kept growing. The venue manager called to confirm the final headcount. It was full, completely full, and not one seat had their name on it. The morning of the celebration, my phone buzzed nonstop. My brother called twice. I declined both times. Then came the voice message. "You really think you're better than us now?" I deleted it without listening twice. At the venue, Sunlight poured through the glass ceiling, catching the gold details I had chosen carefully. Tables were set with intention. My name was printed on a welcome sign at the entrance, bold and unapologetic. Lillian Hayes. Not someone's daughter. Not someone's sister. Just me. Guests began arriving early. My mentor hugged me first. "You earned this," she said warmly. Earned? No one at this venue had ever asked me to shrink. Half an hour before the toast, my phone lit up again. "Mom, you forgot to send us the location," she wrote. I stared at the message, surprised at the audacity. My brother followed immediately. "We're outside. Open the doors." I hadn't given them the address. My cousin must have. I walked to the entrance calmly. Through the glass, I saw them standing there, my mother stiff with indignation, my brother pacing. The event coordinator looked at me. "Are they on the list?" she asked quietly. I didn't hesitate. "No," I said. She nodded once and turned toward the door. Through the glass, I watched the coordinator step outside. She spoke calmly, professionally. My mother's posture stiffened immediately. My brother's hands moved wildly, slicing the air like volume could rewrite policy. Guests behind me continued laughing, glasses clinking softly. The contrast felt surreal. My phone vibrated again. "Open the door." My mother texted, "You're embarrassing yourself." I didn't respond. The coordinator returned inside. "They're insisting," she said gently. "They claim it's a misunderstanding." "It's not," I replied. My brother pounded lightly on the glass. Not hard enough to cause a scene, just enough to create tension. I stepped closer to the entrance, close enough that they could see me clearly. My mother's eyes locked onto mine. For a moment, something almost vulnerable flashed there. Then it hardened. "You're being childish," she mouthed through the glass. I tilted my head slightly. Childish was begging for invitations. Childish was mocking someone and expecting loyalty. I didn't wave. I didn't smirk. I simply turned away. Inside, the music swelled softly as the host tapped the microphone. "Lillian," he announced warmly, "it's time for your toast." Outside, my phone began exploding with rage texts. Inside, I walked toward the stage. The spotlight wasn't blinding. It was warm. I stood at the front of the room, looking out at faces that had chosen to be here. People who had stayed late to help me prep presentations. Who had answered my calls when I doubted myself. Who never once called me an embarrassment. My phone kept buzzing in my clutch on the podium. I didn't check it. I used to think belonging meant enduring. I began, my voice steady. I thought if I stayed quiet long enough, if I made myself smaller, I would finally fit. The room listened. "But promotion isn't just about titles," I continued. "It's about recognizing where you no longer need permission to exist." Applause rippled softly through the tables. Through the glass ceiling, I could see the evening sky turning gold. My phone vibrated again, harder this time. I reached into my clutch and glanced down briefly. 17 unread messages. My brother, "You're dead to us." My mother, "After everything we've done." I slipped the phone back inside without flinching. I learned something this year. I finished gently. You don't beg for a seat where you were never wanted. You build your own table. The room stood to applaud. Outside, I saw them leaving. Through the glass, I watched my mother pause on the sidewalk. For a split second, she looked smaller, not defeated, just confronted with something unfamiliar. A world where she wasn't in control of the narrative. My brother said something sharp, gesturing back toward the building. She shook her head. Then they walked away. Inside, laughter filled the room again, effortless and warm. My colleagues gathered around me with genuine pride. No one asked about the scene outside. No one needed to. Later, when the speeches ended and the music softened, I stepped onto the balcony alone. The city lights shimmered below, steady and unbothered. I finally opened my phone. 32 unread messages, most of them angry, some cutting, a few strangely pleading. You made your point. Call us. You didn't have to go this far. I read them slowly, not with rage, but with clarity. They weren't upset about missing the event. They were upset about losing access. Access to my achievements, my resources, my image. My brother's final message stood out. You'll regret turning your back on family. I looked at the skyline and felt something settle inside me. For the first time, I didn't fear that sentence. I didn't reply to any of them. Not that night, not the next morning. The venue's staff cleared the last of the glasses while I stood alone beneath the glass ceiling, watching the city return to its quiet rhythm. My phone stayed still in my hand, heavy with unread expectations. I used to believe silence meant weakness. Now it felt deliberate. The following week, my promotion was announced publicly across the company website. A professional photo, a short bio, my inbox filled with congratulations. Not one message from my family. Instead, I received something else. A tagged post from my mother, proud of our daughter. It read attached to my company announcement. I stared at it for a long moment. There it was again. Access. I didn't comment. I didn't react. I simply restricted her from my profile. No drama. No public correction. Just boundaries. 2 days later, she called. For the first time in years, I let it go to voicemail. Her message was softer than usual. We should talk. I deleted it gently because sometimes the strongest answer isn't confrontation. It's consistency. And this time I chose.